So good morning, everyone. So we are the reporters, or we are the we are the group 9 to demo about the speech and language impairment. So before we start, so may I ask anybody or somebody to lead the prayer? Anyone, guys?
Orly Esperat, can you lead the prayer? Sorry. My-
Love, kubo ka. Let's put our presence in the Lord. Lord, thank you for this class and the opportunity to learn more about you. We are grateful for the knowledge you have given us, and we thank you for your many blessings. So we ask this because our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Miss Esperat. So our topic for today is about the speech and language impairment. So this is the example of a speech and language impairment. So next. So the speech and language impairment occurs when problems occurs with the parts of the brain and or body used to process and produce speech and language. This results in a communication disability. So it is important for schools to provide appropriate accommodations and support for students. So this may include speech therapy, specialized instruction, assistive technology, and social emotional support. So educators and peers should also be educated about the nature of the student's condition and how to communicate effectively with them. So by creating a supportive and inclusive learning environment, students with speech or language impairment can thrive and reach their full potential. So, speech and language delays may influence by many factors, including the environment factors. Next. So, what are some speech impairment types? First is the slattering. So, this condition might indicate developmental delay, an inherited condition, or a sign your child's brain isn't coordinating the functions that drive speech. So, for example, here in stuttering, example, parang inuulit niya yung letter. Example, sometimes I have trouble speaking because of my stuttering. So another example is please pass me the salt. So here is parang inuulit niya yung letter. So next is the tongue tie. This is a physical condition that makes it hard for children to move their tongues. So dito naman sa sa tongue tie is tongue tie or a ankylosing. It is a medical condition where the band of tissue that connects the tongue to the floor of the mouth. So this can cause difficulty with speaking, eating, or breastfeeding. So next is the articulation errors.
Marco,
Articulation errors. This happens when children can form speech sounds because they have trouble placing their tongue in the right position. So example here in articulation is I wa the person would like to say is I like to play with my rubber ducky in the water. Pero yung ganito yung pagsasabi niya. I like to wade with you ducky in the river.
Ma'am
So
Fortuna,
excuse me, Mr. Fortuna, can you please mute your mic? So let's continue, guys. So next is the aprasia or aprasia. This condition happens when a child's brain can coordinate the muscles that enable speech. So, dysarthria. This condition happens when a children slur their words because of brain damage. So this dysarthria can affect the speed, the strength, the tone, and coordination of your speech muscles. So this can result in slurred speech. This can result a slow slurred pitch or a monotone voice. You may also have difficulty pronouncing words or controlling the volume of your voice. Treatment for dysarthria may include speech therapy to improve the muscle strength and coordination, as well as the techniques to help you speak more clearly. So, next is the selective mutism. This condition happens when children become so anxious about being in certain places and situations that they can speak. So, um, here in selective mutism, so there are possible that contribute to selective mutism. There, the following are genetics, the environment, the temperament, language delays or disorders, the other anxiety or disorders, and that's. So next, we have the examples and speech and language impairment. So first is the stuttering. So this stuttering is um, I said, what I've said earlier is yung parang inuulit niya yung letter. So, the impaired articulation is, I have an example here is the boy said that I like to weigh with my weebu daki in the Weber. Pero yung tamang sentence na dapat sabihin is I like to play with my rubber ducky in the water. So next is the language impairment. So the language impairment, it is a communication disorder in which person has difficulty understanding or producing a language, making it challenging to express themselves in spoken or written forms. So the last is the voice impairment. So in the voice impairment, it can cause by a variety of factors such as a vocal misuse or abuse, throat infections, and vocal cord nodules or polyps. So that's all. Um, the next topic is we'll tackle by Miss um, Christina Hadrake.
Okay, so good afternoon, guys. Five areas commonly affected by speech and language are: first is speech processing. So speech processing in this area, it refers to how we understand and interpret the sounds of speech. So it involves recognizing and distinguishing different speech sound. So for example, yung isang tao ay may difficult sa speech processing, so he or she may have trouble understanding words or following conversation in a noisy environment. So next is speech production. So in this area, it involves the physical act of producing speech, sounds, or forming words. So sa area na ito ay gumagawa na tayo ng tunog ng pagsasalita o pagbuo ng mga salita. So in this area, it includes articulation. So what are those articulation? So these are using the tongue, the lips, and other structure that produce sounds. Fluency, the smoothness of the speech, and the voice, pitch, volume, and quality of the voice. So next is language processing. So in this area, it refers on how we understand and process the language. So dito ay kung paano natin naiintindihan o paano natin napaprocess yung language. So, it involves comprehending the meaning of the words, sentence, and longer passage of a text. So, dito ay inuunawa na natin ang kahulugan ng salita or a sentence. So, if he or she is someone with language processing difficulties, they may have trouble and they may have trouble understanding complex instruction or may struggle to follow conversations that involve abstract or complex language. So, if ang isang tao ay may problema sa pagproseso ng wika, ay maaaring magkaroon ng problema sa pag-unawa. Like, hindi niya magkakakomplikado siya maintindihan yung mga instruction na binibigay sa kanya, ganun. So, next is language production. So, here, this includes expressing thoughts, ideas, and feelings using language. It includes vocabulary, knowing and using words, grammar, semantics. So semantics is using words to convey meaning. So if a person with language production difficulties may have difficulty finding the right words, forming grammatically correct sentence, or expressing themselves clearly. So if a person is may difficulty siya sa language production, so hindi niya ma-express ng maayos yung sarili niya sa ibang tao. And next and last is language use. So this refers to how we use the language in social situations and for different purposes. So difficulties in language use may result in challenging in maintaining conversations, understanding humor or sarcasm, or using appropriate body language and gestures. So if a person have a difficulties in language use ay maaaring resulta parang challenge yung pakikipag-usap niya sa ibang tao. So next slide is next cut. Ay, Jeff.
Okay na, Tin?
Wait lang. So, recognizing speech language impairment. So, first is recognizing speech and language impairment involves understanding the different aspects of speech and language processing, production, and use. So, first is speech processing. So, this refers to the way our brains interpret and understands the speech sounds. So, ito ay tumutukoy sa paraan kung paano ang paraan ng pagbibigay ng kahulugan at pag-unawa ng ating mga utak depende sa tunog ng pagsasalita. So, it um, it involves recognizing and distinguishing the various sounds of language, such as vowels and consonants. So, speech processing also includes understanding the rhythm, intonation, and stress patterns in spoken language. So, next is speech production. So, this relates to the physical process of producing speech sounds. So, ito ay nag-uugnay sa physical na proseso ng paggawa ng mga tunog ng pagsasalita. So, it involves paggamit ng ating mga vocal organ, ating mouth, tongue, vocal cords, for us to make a particular sound na kailangan natin for communication. So next is language processing. So language processing is the ability to understand and make sense of words, sentence, and meaning. So ito ay process ng language kung saan ay may kakayahan tayong maunawaan at maunawaan ang mga salita, pangungusap, o bigyan ito ng kahulugan. So, it involves the knowing, pag-unawa ng struktura at mga tuntunin ng isang language. So, next is language production. So, language is to the ability to express thoughts and ideas through spoken and written language. So, here is, so dito, sa language production, it also involves formulating sentence, selecting appropriate words, and organizing them in convey meaning. So next is language use. So language use encompasses the social and pragmatic aspects of communication. So it involves the understanding and using the language appropriately in different social contexts. So next, is the list below outlines some speech and language milestones that could reasonably be expected of learners. So understanding of spatial concepts next to, in front of. So for example, in categorizing lang. So understanding the understanding of spatial concepts. So children are able to understand. I use word like behind, next to, and in front to describe the position of the object to people in relation to each other. For example, they can follow instruction like put the book behind the chair. So nauunawaan at nagagamit ng mga bata ang mga salitang tulad ng sa likod, sa tabi, at sa harap upang mailarawan ang mga posisyon ng mga bagay o mga tao na may kaugnay sa isa't isa. For example, maaari nating sabihin or bigyan sila ng instruction na ilagay mo, we can give them instruction like put the book behind the chair. So maiintindihan nila yon. So next is common speech with some difficulties. So learners can speak and communicate their thoughts, but they may have some difficulties with longer or more complex. For instance, yung may mga bata kasi na gusto nilang maipahayag yung gusto nilang sabihin pero mahirap nilang i-pronounce like yung spaghetti pero ang tamang pronunciation doon is spaghetti. So magkakaroon ito ng error sa pag-unlad ng mga words nila. So next is
Next natin,
wait lang. Oh. lang. So next is spoken vocabulary of around 300 words. So here, karamihan sa ating mga mag-aaral ay may vocabulary. Alam ang vocabulary. So magagamit nila ang mga salitang ito upang maipahayag ang kanilang mga pangangailangan. So next is description of simple processes and events, how to get to school. So, kung gusto ng mag-aral na ipaliwanag ang mga simpleng process kung paano sila nakakapunta sa school, so they can use some words or some sentence para ma-explain nila or ma-express nila ang self nila sa ibang tao. Next is categorization of some words, animals, fruit, and understanding and answering complex questions of why. So here is maaari silang they can use some words like why or why not for para mabigyan ng dahilan ng paliwanag para sa ilang particular na sitwasyon o kaganapan. Next, Jeff. So here are some speech and language impairment checklists. So as what I've said, speech processing is refers on how we understand and interpret the sounds of the word. Speech production, it involves physical acts. It involves physical act of producing speech sounds and forming words. So next is language processing. So it refers on how we understand or process the language. And next, language production. It includes expressing thoughts, ideas, and feelings using the language. And last, language use. It refers on how we use the language in social situation and for different purposes. Next. So, adjustment. So first, provide written backup of instruction tasks on the board or copied. So here, some individuals may have benefit from having written instructions or tasks available as a reference. So this includes writing instruction on the board, providing handouts, or making copies in important materials. So if we have a children like having a speech and language impairment, speech and language difficulties, so as a teacher, you need to adjust for them to understand. Next is display charts or poster, teach self-help skills, teach routine. So those are the adjustments na we can consider so that our children or so that yung mga kausap natin, yung na may speech and language difficulties ay maiintindihan din nila. Next. Next, so teaching strategies. So teaching strategies first is rule out the presence of vision and hearing problems. So before starting a instruction, it is important to make sure that our learners don't have difficulties with their vision or hearing. So for example, if yung student mo sa isang room is may sa may 30 students ka, then yung isa dun or yung dalawa dun ay may problem sa vision. So, kailangan mo sila upo sa harapan or may hearing problem sila. So, parang kailangan mo bantayan sila if or tignan sila, i-check muna bago ka magbigay ng instruction. You need to check them if comfortable ba sila sa seats nila na makakakita sila ng maayos o makakarinig sila ng maayos. So next is use a multisensory approach. This involves engaging multiple senses such as sight, hearing, touch, and movement. So during the learning process, by incorporating various sensory experience such as visual aids, hands-on activities, and interactive discussion, learners can be better understand the written information. So, so here are the some um so here parang dito is magagamit tayo ng paraan ng ways or like mga visual aid para madali matuto yung mga mag-aaral. Then next is do introductory activities for new lesson. So before diving into a new lesson, it helps to provide an introduction that captures the learner's interest and prepares them for what they are about to learn. So it says that bago mo bago mo itatopic yung bagong lesson, nakakatulong ito sa mga learners na you will make some introduction na makukuha yung interest and attention nila bago ka magda-dive sa new lesson. So for example, asking provoking questions and generate curiosity create a foundation for the upcoming content like that. So next is pre-teaching the vocabulary needed for the lesson. So, introducing and explaining key vocabulary words before starting a lesson helps learners become familiar. So, example, before before teaching the new lesson, like now, we teachers, the demo teachers, we teach you a speech and learning difficulties. So, if a teacher want to teach a new lesson and for learners to process the language. So learning takes time and learners may need a moment to process and make sense of a new information. So next is questioning. So asking question is effective way to engage learners as so teachers can use different questions such as open-ended questions that require thoughtful responses or probing question that encourage learner to elaborate on their ideas. So next, Kat. So here, teacher Kat will discuss the speech games that target the focus sounds.
So, good afternoon, class. Speech games that target the Target the focus sound. Kim De Los Santos, please read the rhyming games.
Speech rhyming games is an early phonological awareness or listening skill children use to distinguish units of speech. Recognizing rhyme is crucial to reading development.
So, can you give some brief explanation of what you have read? Kim De Los Santos.
Po, ala, wait lang. Ma'am, I don't have any idea.
Miss Raquel.
Um, re- Rhyming games, it is a games that are the sound of the different animals. For example, the sound of the dog is arp arp, and the person who have a problem on the problem about their a problem about their language can know or may ma-engage sila sa ganitong type of game.
So, yung sinabi mo, Raquel, is correct. Yung so, rhyming games, here you understand how syllables within words and the ability to discern phonics or sounds. If you would like to encourage your child or student, um, here are the example of rhyming game. Here is the rhyming race, rhyming hopscotch, rhyming scavenger hunt, and walk the tightrope. So next, tongue twister. It is a word, phrases, or sentences composed of similar consonantal sounds that make it difficult to articulate. So tongue twist. So tongue twister daw, it is a great way to practice and improve the pronunciation and fluency of a student. Um, and it can also help to improve the accent by using alliteration, which is the repetition of one sound, but also used by actors, politicians, and public speakers who want to clear when speaking. So here is the example of um tongue twister. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, a peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? So that is the example of tongue twister. Jelena Badagos, kindly read what is songs?
Songs
Yes po.
isn't an effective tool for prompting responses or development in clients with various speech and language disorder.
Can you give me a brief understanding of kindly give me a um brief explanation of what you have read, Miss Badagwas?
This is a tool that it is a music tools or um, alternative instrument that you use that usually used for persons with language language disorder. Tama ba?
Yes, your answer is correct. Another so yung song it helps with speech and language disorder. Music can facilitate speech and language disorder because it uses areas of the brain that involve in communication, and and it also help to encourage and motivate through enjoyable and creative experience that accelerate the rehabilitation process. So song is important in language and speech impairment because music help us retain words and expression much more effectively. Why? Because the rhythm of the music as well as the repetitive patterns within the song. It helps the student memorize words. So next, can you read Miss Esola? Justin Esola, kindly read what is nonsense words.
Okay, ma'am. So, nonsense words. So, words without meaning in our traditional spoken and written language.
So yung nonsense words, um, ito yung mga words na not in a traditional, ah, not in a traditional spoken and written language. Um, Yan yung mga words na lumalabas sa mga bibig ng mga student or children. Like this, gap, catch, wrist, yan, head, seal, and show. Yan yung the example of nonsense words. It help yung nonsense word ito ay nakakatulong sa student to earn good phonics skills. Yung phonics is a method of teaching the beginners to read and pronounce words by learning. Students will be able to decode and decode words that they do not know, since they will continue to encounter new words for the rest of their reading life. And also, the student needs to decode words. It means understanding the relationship that gives to children so that they can easily recognize familiar words quickly and to figure out words they haven't seen or read before. Particularly useful in the stages of reading development when students are still learning to decode words phonetically. Next, cue cards or poster. An example of a visual cue to help learners with their routine, remembering the routine of things to do in the morning. A hand is ideal for a list of five up to five things. So, tingnan nyo yung picture. Ito yung routine na kailangan ma-remember doing routine things in the morning. Like for example, here is back on book. Check. So, ito yung example. Ito yung kailangan ng student who have speech and language impairment so that they can easily remember doing something routine in the morning. Next. Thank you. That's all.
So, thank you, class, for today, and God bless you always. Thank you.